Hello, humans, and welcome to another episode of the Cartridge and Disc Podcast. Embracer. Let's talk Embracer today. Hey, if you haven't done so, make sure you subscribe so you get all this delicious content when it comes out, especially the long form podcast episodes. And of course, we're dropping in the comedy in there with the shorts whenever I get a chance. Well, hey, folks, in the gaming world, Embracer Group is one of the larger companies, and they own a bunch of cool game studios. But right now they're going through some changes. Now, for those of you who care about business, you can actually go and look at the announcement of the deal that fell through. It was a whopping $2 billion, and that really hurt the company. You can actually look up the CEO making that announcement, and it is one of the most uncomfortable interviews that you have ever seen because he knows what this means, right? I mean, the CEO's job is on the line whenever something like this happens because his vision was off. Right? They're the ones that are responsible for taking the company forward and making it more profitable. But when your stock goes from the 80s to the 20s, that is opposite to what you want. And the only thing you can do at that point is do cutbacks in order to stop the financial bleeding. So, of course, they're going to have to make layoffs, and that's what they're announcing now. They haven't given the exact number yet, but, they have, about 17,000 employees, right? And the CEO said that they're going to close some of their studios. They might even have to pause or cancel some game projects. They're also going to cut back on some non-development costs, like overhead expenses and stuff like that. That means all the perks, the coffee machines, some of the perks and benefits you get are going to go away. But, Embracer really is just mainly canceling games that they haven't announced yet, and games that they don't think will make much money, right? Some of the more experimental stuff that you take chances on, and something like this, you really want to concentrate your efforts on something you're going to get return on investment, right? For example, like games like Tomb Raider, right, or Perfect Dark, right? Those are two game franchises that they know they're going to see a return in, right? But in the past few years, Embracer has been a shopping spree, right? Buying just a bunch of game studio companies, the rights to some popular games. They bought Gearbox, for example, for a whopping $1.3 billion. Wish they had that back, right? They also got Crystal Dynamics, Square Enix Montreal. They even scored the rights to Lord of the Rings, which they're planning to turn into a huge game franchise. I mean, so they're really not messing around, right? They really want to grow. But, in this economic climate, you can't overextend yourself. And if anything, you have to be more cautious with your expenses, what you're spending money on. And a lot of it starts with labor. When you become this big and you have 17,000 employees, you have a lot of overlap. Now we're going to go into what they call working lean, right? There's going to be a lot of people doing, wearing many hats, doing multiple jobs, things like that. I mean, that happens in every company. And it's not going to be unique. Let me tell you this. It's not going to be unique to Embracer. That's why you see a lot of game companies out there doing a lot of remakes. Why do you do remakes? Well, because there's a certain guarantee of profit there, because there's a certain section of the population like me, right? Game hoarders. Not only that, you have people that are fans of the game. So when you remake something, you can calculate a certain percentage of the public is going to rebuy that game just because it's the same name, just because it's the same franchise. And you're going to see a lot of companies take less chances here, which only is going to make the indie scene all the more important, because that's where a lot of the new ideas come from. I mean, it's great to have AAA games. It's great to have all the graphics and all that stuff. But you have to remember, guys, they don't take a lot of chances. They don't like wasting money. And with the climate out there, with the climate of more politics jumping into the larger game companies, it makes it more difficult for them to come up with unique ideas, and you're even seeing some of these tendencies crawl into the Japanese market as they want to expand globally, right? Because they want to sell globally. Well, the Japanese, what has made their games great in certain instances is that they don't have the same filters we do. So they take more chances in making more creative content because they don't have those restrictions there. They don't have the restrictions of thinking, should I put this character? Should I make this character this? Should I make this character that? Should I put the story setting here? Should I put the story setting there because it might offend a person of this particular belief system or of this nation, or will it offend this country because of their, financial and or political interest? As those things start being factored into games, I mean, that's never going to be good for an artist, right? Whenever you are hindering an artist's creativity, it's always a bad thing. Now, what's going to happen here with Embracer? I mean, are they going to get more creative? Probably not. They can't afford to at this time. The first thing that they have to do is stop the bleeding. And how do you stop the bleeding? By making cutbacks, by being more conservative. And if you're going to buy anything, right, you're going to buy your stock back to raise the price up. And for those Amico fans out there that were thinking that Embracer was going to buy Intellivision and maybe salvage this console, you can forget about that. You can completely forget about that. That's not going to happen, not in this economic climate, not with these kind of losses. When you drop $2 billion, out of your food basket, that, for a company this size is a major hit. It really is. And especially with all the money that they've spent in the last few years acquiring, bigger, larger studios than Intellivision and losing money on them. It's not a position that they could go back to the board and say, "Hey, we want to buy Intellivision." And they're probably whoever comes up with that idea is probably going to get fired. So I know people out there had that question: where was Embracer going to buy Intellivision? They can buy some of their intellectual properties, right? For a commission, a later commission, something like that. But as far as making console, no, that's not going to happen. Not in this climate. But will Embracer survive? This Swiss company has been around for a while now, and I think they will. I think the restructuring is going to be good for them. They're going to have to probably fire some heads of departments here. The board is going to have to make some changes, but they will move ahead. I'm looking forward to see what they do with the Crystal Dynamics, with the Square Enix Montreal properties that they bought. What are they going to do with Lord of the Rings? And what are they going to do with Perfect Dark? I think those are bankable properties that they can move forward with and, make some profits down the line. As an investor, what I'm looking at, the price of the stock has dropped, 75%, right? I like buying stocks at 90% off. I don't know how much lower it's going to go, but I'm sure going to keep an eye on this one for sure, because I think there's a great opportunity here to make money long term, but I don't know what these layoffs are going to be. I don't know what they're going to sell. But the number one thing they have to do is get that stock price up to keep the board happy. All right, guys, those are my thoughts. What do you guys think? Are you guys excited for Perfect Dark, Tomb Raider, Lord of the Rings? I don't know. I mean, for me, the only one that really tickles my fancy is Perfect Dark. That I really want to see. All right, guys, I'll catch you on the next one. Take care.